If you're listening to this, you made it to planet Earth, and it's Friday. Welcome aboard. It wasn't an easy trip, but we made it here. You may have stumbled over the finish line. You may have run over the finish line. But as long as you got over the finish line, hey, you won. It doesn't have to be chariots of fire, you know? Today is July the 14th. That's Bastille Day. Thought about doing something about France, but I'm going to be honest with you. Rather talk about the Peloponnesian War. There we are. There's Greece. We got Athens. We got Sparta. Even got Troy up there in the northwest corner for some reason, but we're not going to worry about them, right? This is the Peloponnesian War. Athens versus Sparta. 431 BC to 404 BC. Officially declared war in 432. Had a little break there in 421. They picked up again in 418. And the Peloponnesian War, like I say, it's my favorite sort of historical event to study. Maybe it's the connection the family has with Greece, maybe it's ancestry. But the thing I like the most about it is that it's the ultimate story of the well-placed plans of men and mice going awry. Because this thing starts, and both Athens and Sparta, they got it planned down to the split second, and it doesn't go anywhere how they think it's going to work. It's just a complete insane asylum marathon, pun intended, that goes on for 27 years. Yeah, not even a standard marathon. We're going to throw an extra year of torture in there, don't we? And when this thing is over, Greece is never going to be the same again. And the route it took to get to that conclusion, nobody saw that coming. You think of Athens and Sparta, right? Sparta's got the hoplite army, the master heavy hoplite infantry. Athens is more of a naval power. Athens, you think about democracy and civic virtue and such. They have a pretty good land army too, but you know we're going up against the Spartans over here. It's the 80s Niners against the 70s Steelers, right? Remember last week? So Athens knows they can fight pretty well on land, but you know they're not going to hold off a Spartan attack out in the open. And the Spartans know this too, so they figure they're just going to march their way up to Athens, have the big hoplite battle, and win. Problem is, they march up to Athens, and what do they see? Yeah, they got that big wall over here. So the Athenians hide behind the wall. That's the one weakness the Spartans have with land warfare. Not very good at climbing over walls. Take a look at this wall, and yeah, it's not that easy. You can get a ladder, and the minute you get up there, start dropping rocks or boiling oil on you. So, you know, climbing walls in the ancient world is not easy. In fact, sieges in the ancient world can be worse for the besiegers than the people inside the wall sometime. And the Athenians, being smart, you know, they stocked up on food and everything. They didn't foresee the smallpox outbreak that took Pericles' life, but, you know, not bad. You know, they held the Spartans out. Though Athens, like we said, is a naval power, so they figured to keep the Spartans on the other side of the wall. They use their ships, called a trireme, sail around the edge of the Peloponnese and kind of nip away at the flanks and edges of Sparta's empire. It's not going to defeat the Spartans, but it's going to pull their army away from Athens and spread them out so they can't really concentrate anywhere. So this ends up turning into a stalemate, and as long as Athens doesn't lose, it's like a win. Whereas Sparta has to win because, you know, it's Sparta. They got a reputation to behold. Now, this is a trireme, like I said earlier. Why is it called a trireme? 3 decks of oars. See? 1, 2, and 3. 170 people there. Got a captain, a crew of about 5. Got 10 to 14 Marines. You use this to attack other ships and take them over. A trireme is a very tough ship to sink. This thing can float anywhere. It can go through storms without much of a problem. It's balanced very well. It's very well constructed, especially in Athens. They learned it from the Phoenicians. So the trireme is a very good, sturdy ship. Athens has a bunch of them. Sparta's not really a sea power. They got a few ships there, but it's mainly like fishing and stuff like that. So not really a naval power. So Peloponnesian War, we got some Athenian raids along the coast, and Sparta keeps marching up to the wall, and they can't quite get over it. You just say, why don't you just go get a navy, Sparta? Yeah, sure, we'll just go get a navy, no problem. What you need is money to build a navy. Even today, navies are expensive. Back then, in the 5th century BC, it took 1 talent of silver. 13 pounds of silver is a talent. you can calculate how much that is. But remember, 21st century AD exchange rates don't really apply to the 5th century BC. So you have to have the money to build it. You got to have the know-how. You got to have a crew. Where's Sparta going to get all these things? After the Battle of Pylos Bacteria, where they kind of lost the first round of the Peloponnesian War, Sparta, not knowing for being dynamic or embracing new things, realizes that to beat the beast, Athens, they got to become the beast. Again, Athens, they got to build a navy. So they need to find some money. Where are they going to get money to build a fleet from? This guy in Persia is very happy to talk to you. That's right. The Persians are going to give the Spartans the money to build a navy. And it wasn't silver they were handing over, something even better, gold. So they're giving them the money to make the fleet. They're sending the engineers to help them build the fleet. A lot of Phoenicians even got volunteers. They're going to go rowing because you get to pay them. The helots, slaves in Sparta, they're volunteering to be rowers because, they get to be free and they get paid. They were even trying to recruit rowers from Athens by offering them more money. So Sparta, not dynamic, not known for thinking outside the box, are dynamic and thinking outside the box. Nobody saw that coming. Athens didn't see it coming, and neither did Sparta. But there they are. They got their navy, and they are going to go after the Athenians. And this is how you fight in the ancient world. Your trireme goes against another trireme. You don't try to sink it. Why are you not trying to sink it? Because if you capture a trireme, hey, you got yourself a free boat. Patch up some damages. You don't have to make another one. You got one for free. So you try to get close. You try to ram it. It's very hard to sink, but you get in close. And then your Marines, just like our Marines originally were detailed to do, they jump from one trireme to the other to take it over. So it's a really good way to get somebody's ship. You fix up that hole there in the bottom and you're ready to go. Of course, if you end up sinking it somehow or completely burning it or setting on fire, well, that was kind of the point. Defeat the enemy, right? This is probably what it really looks like. Yeah, they smash right into each other sometimes. They have a tendency to aim for the middle. Why do you aim for the middle? Because if you can hit the middle, you're not going to miss. And at the end of the day, Sparta, with no experience in the Navy, ends up winning the Peloponnesian War. The Athenians are much better tacticians. They handle their triremes a lot better. But you see, they don't have that money pouring in from Persia. Every time the Athenians lose a ship, they can't replace it. Whereas the Spartans, they lose a ship. Hey, the Persians send another one over, send them the money, got some Phoenicians to help them row, plenty of helots volunteering to row. They're just going to wear the Athenians down. Little by little, they're going to wear them down. They lose a ship, they come up with 5 more. Athenians lose a ship, they have trouble replacing it, and sooner or later the numbers are going to tip against Athens to the point where they just can't come back. And how does the Peloponnesian War end? It ends in the most Greek way imaginable. At the Battle of Goats River, up there near Troy, the Athenian fleet, what's left of it, hiding in an inlet, they pull ashore for lunch. They're lined up, eating lunch, and the Spartans come sailing in, jump off the ships onto the shore, and capture all the Athenian crewmen while they are eating lunch. The most Greek way ever to end a war. Could not say I'm surprised about that one. So at the end of the day, in 404 BC, Sparta wins the Peloponnesian War using naval power and delivering the final blow with their hoplites, capturing everybody at lunch. Peloponnesian War, like I said, takes turns nobody saw coming. Now, we're talking about dinosaurs today. I went to go see that movie, 65. Finally got around to seeing that. And, well, on a scale of 0 to 10, I give it about a 6. How about a 6.5 there? 65. Give one for effort. It wasn't bad. I've seen much worse. I've also seen a lot better. I don't think Adam Driver's really worried about what I'm saying. He got paid, right? But the thing I didn't like about this movie is that they told you everything in the beginning. It's 65 million years ago. It's Earth. And you have these humans who inexplicably are, human. And, they crashed on Earth. And it just kind of took the mystery out of the whole thing. I mean, I would have personally started the movie off with them crashing, at some planet, some dinosaur-like animals, and sooner or later you find out they actually are dinosaurs, and then you just kind of bring out the truth there towards the end that these are actually ancient aliens, and the whole thing is actually happening 65 million years ago, just before the asteroid hits. You know, kind of like Planet of the Apes, you know, where he's on a planet with apes. It's a lot like Earth, and turns out later he finds out he is on Earth because he finds the Statue of Liberty. Well, the movie ends with the asteroid hitting, and we all know what happens there, right? Now, some people were kind of complaining that they didn't recognize some of the dinosaurs. There were some conversations about what kind of dinosaurs were in this movie. I'm going to let you in on a little secret here. 99% of all living things that ever lived on this planet are now extinct. Yeah, so we know about a few of them, right? About 1%, 2% on a good day. So that means there are things we didn't know about that were, you know, evolved and died out. And if you take that a little bit further, there are things we didn't know about. So the stuff you didn't know about and the stuff you didn't know about. So could be any kind of animal running around in that period and we would have never known. But there were a few that we did recognize. That's definitely a raptor. Yeah, no doubt about that one. It could be Velociraptor. It could be one of the smaller ones. Definitely not a Utahraptor. Dionysius, maybe it's a little bit too small for that. Maybe it's a baby one. But yeah, everybody saw that one and recognized who he was right off the bat. Hey, there's our old friend T-Rex. Not one, but two of them. So that tells you it's in Western North America somewhere, so you figure that much out. Like I said, you start bringing the story out little by little. Here's one nobody liked. It's kind of hard to like a slithering reptile trying to eat a little girl there. We're not really sure what that thing was. My guess is Nothosaurus, maybe. There's another good view of it there. Had some smaller ones that our friend Adam Driver blew like a dozen away with his rifle, rescuing a little girl there. Here's a bigger one that was chasing him. You saw him earlier in the movie. You'll see him at the end of the movie. Yeah, I could go with Nothosaurus. I could be wrong, but, you know, I feel pretty good about that. I'd put a 20 down on a bet in Las Vegas. That was Nothosaurus. Here's another one we caught flying around. This is Zungereptus. It's actually a flying reptile from China. But, you know, maybe it also lived in North America too, just haven't had the fossils yet. Like I said, 99% of everything that's lived and died we're not even going to know about. So it's not, you know, unusual for a flying reptile like that to come over to North America from Asia, especially since it could, you know, fly. Here's the one I don't understand. We're trying to figure this one out. A lot of people have come to the consensus that this is a Fasciasuchus, right? It's sort of it looks like a crocodile, but it's not. It looks like a T-Rex on four legs, but it's not. It also lived in the Triassic period, if it's the animal I think it is, and maybe, just maybe, it was one of those things in the 99% we don't know about, right? Still a vicious animal in this movie, man. If you go see it, oh, you do not want to run into this thing. It might be worse than a T-Rex. It's smaller, but it's nastier. Bad disposition, bad teeth, probably bad breath too, especially after hit that geyser. Spoiler alert, it's going to get roasted alive. Speaking of people getting roasted alive, it's time to insult the Dallas Cowboys. I don't need an excuse to do it. I'm happy to insult the Dallas Cowboys for free. We talked about how the Packers dominated the 60s, the Steelers dominated the 70s, the San Francisco 49ers in the 80s. The Dallas Cowboys, the most annoying team of all time, tries, futilely, to lay a claim to the 1990s. Yeah, they tried to claim the 70s, but, you know, my Steelers beat them twice. And any attempt at dominating the 80s got short-circuited by the 49ers, but it pains me to admit that for 4 years, Dallas was definitely the strongest team in the early 1990s. Here's the the head coach who's responsible for it, Jimmy Johnson. He won a college football championship at the University of Miami, hired by Dallas Cowboys in 1989. He's there rebuilding the team, going to take it back to their glory days. Here are the three people. They call them the triplets. There's Emmitt Smith, number 22, the running back, one of the best of all-time leading rusher at the moment. Troy Aikman's the quarterback, the guy who got the whole offense running. And number 88 is Michael Irvin, one of my least favorite people, not just because he plays for the Cowboys, but yeah, just not a very nice person. People on the team didn't like him, including Aikman and Smith. Hey, I just deal with you at work. But, you know, they worked well enough together to win 3 Super Bowls, so I guess they were doing something right. The Dallas Cowboys are one of those teams that also wear white at home, one of my pet peeves. Here they are in their blue jerseys. What do you think? You like the blue jerseys or the white jerseys better? Let me know down there in the comments. I guess the blue jerseys look better, but I'm seeing the white. I don't like seeing them at all. Well, the Cowboys got rolling in 1992. Jimmy Johnson shows up in 89 at 1-15. They're drafting people. They got Emmitt Smith. They got Troy Aikman. And Michael Irvin shows up. And there in San Francisco, the very field where they began to decline in 1981, in 1992, they make the playoffs. They get to the conference championship and beat San Francisco on that same field. It's the beginning of the rise of Dallas's quasi-dynasty there in the 90s. And that's not even Joe Montana. That's Steve Young that's getting his head ripped off. That was legal back then. If you do that now, it's 15 yards. At the end of the game, Dallas won. They're going to the Super Bowl. There's Emmitt Smith shaking hands with Joe Montana, who didn't play in the game. It's kind of symbolic. One dynasty giving way to the others. It's happened before. It'll happen again. Enjoy the ride, Dallas. It's going to happen to you, but unfortunately not at that very moment. Anyway, the Cowboys go to Pasadena at the Rose Bowl and completely destroy the Buffalo Bills 52-17. Not the biggest rout ever, second biggest rout ever, but hey, it's still a rout. It could have been even higher if Leon Lett wasn't being an idiot, dancing on his way to the end zone, pick up a fumble. Don Beebe with Buffalo runs up and smacks it out of his hands. So could have had a record. Leon Lett had another big bumble in 1993. But hey, they won 52-17, so I guess all was forgiven. The 1993 season, well, they just basically cut and pasted 1992 right back on top of it. Right? Dallas Cowboys have a great year. They win home field advantage. They're going toe-to-toe with the San Francisco 49ers again. They beat them to go back to the Super Bowl. Who's waiting for them in the Super Bowl? It's Buffalo again, the first back-to-back rematch. Super Bowl 27, Super Bowl 28. Also going to be kind of the same result. They're going to win again. Dallas knocks them out 30-13. A little bit closer this time, but I saw that game. Dallas was just holding back. Right? The Bills actually led it to half. Dallas played with them, toyed with them, destroyed them in the third quarter, and just went easy the rest of the way. So that was Dallas kind of at their height. They won 2 in a row, already bragging about winning 3 in a row. And for some reason, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, Jimmy Jones, fired Jimmy Jones. Yeah, they got into some kind of, got fired. The man won back-to-back Super Bowls. I don't like him very much, but you can't argue with back-to-back Super Bowls. Well, when the Bills lost that was their 4th straight loss in a Super Bowl. No team in any sport across the world has ever lost 4 straight championships. Yeah, the joke at the time was Buffalo has a new area code. It's 044. Think about it. Yeah. Well, nonetheless, life goes on. When you're a defending champion, everybody comes after you. And in 1994, the 75th anniversary season, hence the weird-looking uniforms, it's San Francisco and Dallas again. Remember, it was Dallas and Green Bay back in the 60s. In the 70s, the Steelers and Raiders and Cowboys. In the 80s, the Niners and the Bears. Well, in the 90s, it's San Francisco and Dallas. And look at those horrifying uniforms, man. I just do not like alternate uniforms. If up to me, you'd wear them only like on a game closest to Halloween or something. San Francisco wearing a jersey from 1955, and Dallas had these special uniforms they made for this game. As you can see, it's not going to work out because even though Dallas beat San Francisco in 92 and 93, 94, hey, it's San Francisco's turn. They beat the Cowboys in San Francisco. Deion Sanders there ends up playing for the Cowboys, the following year, actually. Now, the Cowboys aren't done yet. They're going to win one more Super Bowl. As you can see, look at this game. You can tell it's a hard-fought game, wasn't it? Look at Steve Young just reach out everything he's got. I keep staring at that horrible uniform. I just can't stand it. I see Chad Hennings there with his face in the dirt. That's kind of funny. Any Dallas Cowboys face in the dirt is funny. But the Cowboys will win one more Super Bowl, and it's against the Steelers. We won't talk much about that. Add insult to injury, it's at Sun Devil Stadium in Arizona. And even though the Cowboys won, they didn't beat the Steelers because since then the Cowboys have just not been the same. It's like the Steelers gave them some kind of virus or something. Because since that day, in January of '96, my Steelers have been to 3 Super Bowls. The Cowboys haven't been near any of them. In fact, the Cowboy dynasty went right in the tank right when this was over. In 1996, they staggered in the playoffs. They lose to Carolina, a team in its second year of existence. In 1997, losing season. 1998, they lose a playoff game at home to the Arizona Cardinals. Yes, they lost to the Arizona Cardinals in a playoff game at home. If that doesn't say your dynasty is over, I don't know what does. And quite frankly, it sounds like grounds for everybody to get fired. Now, the Cowboys, I will give them credit. I'll give them team of the early 90s. Okay, they earned it. 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. I'll give it to them. They earned it. They don't need me to validate it, right? They might wave Super Bowl 30 in my face if I push just too hard. But then there's another team that a lot of people forget about in the 90s. Yeah, the Denver Bronco mini-dynasty right after that. Cowboys, unfortunately, win their third one, Super Bowl 30 in 1995 season, January of '96. And then here come the Denver Broncos. See that orange jersey and the blue D helmet there? That's what they wore in 1996. Had the best record in the NFL and lost to Jacksonville at home. It was so bad, John Elway was crying and considering retirement. But he came out, and he just kept going. And they changed uniforms, this blue-looking thing, which I think looks a lot better. And they would win the Super Bowl in 1997 and 1998. So I call that the Denver Broncos mini-dynasty. And yes, they destroyed the Cowboys in a game in 1998. So, yeah, again, if you're thinking who would win the late 90s Broncos, early 90s Cowboys, got a little bit of insight. But in all fairness, the Cowboy dynasty was declining, and Denver was kind of at its height. So there we are. We've gone all the way to the 20th century. Isn't that amazing? The Packers, the Steelers, the Niners, and we got the 90s here split between Dallas and Denver. And I got to give the St. Louis Rams of 1999 an honorable mention. Great way to cap off the century there with Kurt Warner. But at the end of the day, which of these teams are the best? Well, you know what my answer is going to be. Check it out down in the comments. We'll start a flame war. I got nothing else going on this weekend. You guys have yourself a great day. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I will see you here next week. Have a great week. Keep it safe. Have fun. Das vidanya.